Hello. You're listening to For the Girls, Gays and Days, the podcast where two friends process their emotions concerning pop culture of note to the acronymed community. From film to television, music, and more, we're here to tell you what caught our queer eyes this week. I'm Colt, he, him.
I'm Alex, they, them.
Welcome.
Welcome to it.
This week, we're talking killer dolls in M3GAN, baby snatchers in Broker, oversharing in Prince Harry's Spare, and if subtweeting was a song for Miley Cyrus.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
To start, the category is literature.
Ooh.
And I will be talking about Spare, written by Prince Harry. It is the recently released memoir that has had a pretty wild press tour with a lot of revelations, not only about Harry himself, but about his relationship with his family. Most notably, the tension with his brother William.
Willie.
Willie, yeah. Couldn't help but laugh throughout that audiobook because I listened to the audiobook version, which has been memed to high heaven online.
High school song. Yeah. Oh, girl.
For me, I think the one that I've seen most often is the frostbitten penis segment.
Oh, it's too much information, Harold. It's too much.
As someone who sort of views the royals, as I've sort of said on the podcast before, as like celebrities akin to the Kardashians, I found a lot of this to be really fascinating insight.
Yeah.
It sort of starts with the aftermath of Princess Diana's death and the trauma around that and the intense media scrutiny, particularly from like parasitic paparazzi, and sort of hearing about the lengths that the paparazzi went to like not only hound him, but anyone he came in contact with. Anytime there was any sort of person in his life that he would come in contact with, especially if they were a woman, would be hounded to the point that they would then be like, look, I really like you, but it's not worth it. I can't do this. And to hear that story continuously, it's sad. And to hear about the story of his relationship with Meghan Markle and the deterioration of her mental health as a result of the vicious campaign against her by the British media and the seeming complete lack of support from his family, and more specifically from the Crown Institution, is so sad. Because it's the sort of thing of like, it's being like, okay, these stories have been printed and they're false. They're false stories. Like, can we say something, do something? And the sort of Crown Institution, no, we can't. And they're sort of like, yeah, but we said something for like that thing about Kate, or like that thing about, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
Just,
you're a spare. Remember, you're a spare. Your job is to divert attention, not to be covered by us, you know.
And he does, and the way he sort of writes about it is it's not often his family directly doing that. The sort of line continuously from his father is just like, don't read it, darling boy, just put your head in the sand, which has sort of been like the family line for a long time. But it's more sort of from the people around the institution who are just like, no, we're not going to do anything for you. You're on your own. Way before they were like, we're gonna take a step back from the family. It's interesting. It is very interesting. And the sort of early stuff when he's still very young, as I said, in the aftermath of Diana's death, it's interesting from like the perspective of just hearing about how like that sort of weird British upper class lifestyle, like the boarding school system and like the sort of aristocracy around that, they're very strange people. To me anyway, as someone who does not live that life. I mean, parts of it are familiar to me, being Zimbabwean and being the child of a man who was a hunter guide, like hunter wildlife guide. There was a lot of going on hunts and that sort of thing in my childhood. But it comes from a very different place from like what he calls stalking, where they're like and stories about like blooding of like after he's sort of,
I heard about that,
killed his first bunny, like his nanny or whatever, like
it's
dips fingers in and like bloods him. And another like, and later when it's like a stag, the guy who's like going out with him, literally shoves his head into the cavity of this deer, and I'm just like, these people are fucking weird, man.
But without telling the kid he was going to do it, like
Yeah.
Harry, a sweet baby boy, just leans next
It's
to the
like,
deer
just
because he
come here
tells
real
him to.
quick. Let me just have a look at that. Shoves his head in. What?
Who does that to a child is my who does that to an adult, but who does that to a child as well, who trusts you.
So listening through to a lot of the stuff, especially from the childhood, you're like, oh yeah, this is why you're all so fucked up. These are the people that you're around growing up. Like this is makes some sense. And sort of like, yeah, the vitriol of the press is horrific, and the way that they've sort of hound these people, and it's not unique to the royals, it's not unique to Harry. There are a lot of celebrities that get hounded like that. I think where it's sort of different for someone like Harry is that, like, it's not a choice he's made. He's not gone into a profession that he knows will be like high profile. This is just something that, like, purely from the fact that you're born, you will be hounded by everybody. Everyone will want to know every detail about your life for your entire life. And these paparazzi will follow you to get pictures of you throughout your life. You have no say in the matter. And it's difficult. It is a difficult thing. There is a whole section in the middle of the book that loses me about his military career.
Oh yeah, it's lost a lot of people.
Because I'm pretty anti-armed forces. I don't mind saying. I think that there's a lot of propaganda around the armed forces and around the military and around it being sort of viewed as a heroic thing to do or something honorable. I don't necessarily buy into that narrative. And there are passages in the book where he sort of details around when he's sort of starting to enlist, so to speak, around them sort of welcoming in the most unstable people, as that's like a thing that they look out for. And he's sort of expected there to be sort of rigorous sort of testing around that. And they're like, oh no, the more fucked up you are, the better. Like, that's what we want. And he's talking about it from the perspective of, oh, it's this really welcoming thing that no matter where you are, no matter what, like you've gone through in life, this is somewhere where they're going to welcome you with open arms. Whereas I look at it and go, yeah, that's the fundamental flaw of them, that
you're actively seek out unstable people.
They actively seek out mentally unstable people and radicalize them into the system. And then if they survive that system, they're sort of spat out unceremoniously with very little support. And a lot of them end up having even more intense mental health problems than they did before. And to me, that was it's all just really gross to me. So listening to him sort of running through all of that, which is lengthy, I think that it's a third of the book is about his military career. So didn't love that, but I think the other two sections I found really interesting and really engaging.
Well, I think the thing is with the military and its tie to nationalism, and especially British nationalism, and it's tied to the armed forces, is that it's the reason that Prince Philip went out in all his Navy garb. The reason that William does it. It's the reason that Harry was allowed to do it until they took it away from him. They use it on the nation as an indoctrination tool, but they also use it in the royal family as an indoctrination tool. I really, sending that boy into that space and letting him, brainwashed is a strong word, but you do kind of drink the Kool-Aid at a certain point. And that's the way they tried to break him when he tried to leave, was to say that we'll take away every single medal you've gotten, because he had a higher rank than William did, and William really hated that. So
listening to the book, there's so much about, like, he goes into a lot of detail sort of about the sibling rivalry and around how William really seemed to have, from Harry's perspective at least, a huge complex,
big chip on his shoulder,
around ever being shown up, around ever being less than, which is so ironic considering
He
he's
is their son?
literally
Oh,
look,
sorry.
William is literally like,
He's gonna be king.
yeah. So like,
No,
and sort of, I think there was a portion where Harry was like, "What are you on about? Like, you're married, you're gonna
yeah,
be the king, you
yeah,
have like three beautiful children," and he's like,
yeah,
"I'm eating leftovers over the sink."
yeah.
Like, you've won. I think was the actual quote. It's like, "You've won, mate." Like,
It's true, but you can even see it in the press clippings. I think if everybody thinks I'm insane for knowing all these things off the top of my head, I did write stories about these people for a long portion of my life. But
mm,
also just being from a Commonwealth country, it's something that I just knew.
mm-hmm.
There is a clip where they say, "Oh, William, you must be so happy for Harry now that he's engaged," and they had that big to do where him and William goes, "Well, it'd be nice for him not to be our third wheel anymore and not to be in our kitchen eating our food." Or something to
Yeah,
that effect. And I thought that was a really
salty.
petty.
It's salty.
It's salty. And there's also another clip where we all know the famous TikTok video of Harry breezing through an obstacle course and William needing like 7 people to hold his hands to do it. There's also
Mm,
another video where William, Kate, and Harry are running in a line, and both
mm.
Harry and Kate are faster than William. And Kate slows down because she doesn't want to embarrass William. And Harry's just like, he looks back at him, he winks, and then he sticks his tongue out as he goes because he knows that he's smoking him. I mean, that is sibling shit to a point. It is sibling shit, but I think for me, the big thing that I've noticed in clips that I've heard, unfortunately,
Mm.
and read because I'm not buying that book. I love, God bless Prince Harry. He's made enough money off of it. It is literally the top-selling non-fiction book in all of
Mm.
history, whatever, set a Guinness World Book Record or something. So he doesn't need me. I'm getting it from the library. Sorry, Harold. But from what I've seen in it, it's really just the systematic reminding to Prince Harry that he is number two, that I think
Mm.
eventually broke him, when people just stopped giving a fuck about protecting him. And
Yeah.
then for me, I think, I don't know if he talks about it in the book, but I think there's definitely a moment where he looked at all of the members of his immediate and extended family and said, who do I give a fuck about?
Yeah.
Is it just grandmama? She's gonna go soon. All right, fuck all these people. Burn it to the ground. And
Yeah.
fair. You can only
I
break
don't
somebody so much to a point.
I don't even necessarily think it's that vindictive. I think a lot of the public thinks of it as vindictive, especially the British public, as evidenced
I
by the
don't know
fact that
about
his
vindictive. I think it's
popularity
fair.
his
Fair.
popularity has plummeted.
That's fair.
Um, I think it's more a thing of like, there's only so long you can suffer seeing lies about yourself be presented as truth
Mm,
before you're like, fuck it and fuck all of you. If
yeah.
you won't help me tell the story, if you want to help me correct any of this, I'm just going to say it in my own words. And I think it's something that Diana experienced.
It's true.
There was obviously the biography that was written about her with her participation. And I think a lot of that came from a thing of like, I cannot continue to just stand by while other people tell my story. I need
Um,
I need like it's just a thing of you being broken down to just needing to express years of um
lies
lies and sort of
and
being quiet
vitriol.
and not complaining. um I fucking love complaining. If someone told me that I couldn't complain about anything, that wouldn't last long
I
for
love his
me.
complaining too. Before anybody's like, "Oh God, all he does is moan." Love his moans. I message him once a day to hear about his moans of the day.
And the thing is,
Um,
if I
it's
if
good.
I if I put it out loud, if I just complain about everything that comes into my
Yeah.
head, it doesn't have time to like take hold of my
Germinate.
brain and
Yeah.
actually make me and actually
Yeah.
reach my chest where I feel it. If it
Mm.
just sort of lands on me and I'm immediately like, what the fuck is this? It doesn't settle, it doesn't become like Yeah.
But it's also how I know you're all right, and I hope this is true for Harry as well, is that like you're able to express what you're feeling, whether you're upset or something's wrong. The real source of concern would be for you or Harry, preferably you, because I care about you, is when you're unable to express why something upsets you, and you feel numb to it. When you feel numb to things, you've numbed yourself to it, and you're not feeling it, and you're not working through it. You working through it's a good thing. Me working through it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And him working through it, I hope, is ultimately a good thing. The boy says he could write another book.
I
can't
don't know
handle
what
another
I
press
don't know
tour.
what else he has to, I don't know what else he has to say. He
I
said
really can't
so
handle another press
much.
tour. It's a I feel like I just I'm happy.
I mean, you know my thoughts on this. I love an overshare. You're like, I don't need to know everything. I'm like, I want to know everything. Tell me more.
I could know less about his Todger. I would love to know less about his
I hate that word. Of all the euphemisms for a dick, for a
he couldn't say
penis.
Willie. He couldn't say Willie because he calls his brother Willie. In the most petty thing I've ever seen in my life. Throughout the book, Willie. Willie.
Anyway, speaking of people processing things, shall we move on to our next category?
Sadly, yes. I love you, Harry. We could talk about this for 2 hours.
We literally could, but it's probably best we don't. Category is music.
Yeah.
Alex, take it away.
So we have Miley Cyrus, who everyone knows as being an incredibly fun queer person, with a new single called Flowers. It was released on Thursday, I believe, with a music video, during which, if you just look at it at a surface level, it's Miley going up Runyon Canyon, going into a very rich house, working out in that house, and then putting on the sluttiest queer outfit anybody can put on, a black suit with nothing underneath.
I was going to say, the dress, the suit.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yes, yes.
That's one thing that Miley will always do. She will turn a look.
She will turn a look, and she knows how to work. Like, that's one thing about being a child star. You know your angles, don't you? On a surface level, there's two layers to the song, I think, which is true of all Miley songs, because in my estimation, she is a great songwriter and a great performer and a great just an all-around great musician, whatever you
wholeheartedly agree.
Wholeheartedly agree. A whole catalogue of things to reference. So Flowers, surface level bop. It's a disco infused pop-tastic. Feels like it could have been released 20 years ago, but it is definitely a progression from her last project, which I think was more Blondie sounding.
Yeah.
This, I think,
pop rock kind of inspired. Yeah.
This, which is a little bit more disco twinged, could have been sung by Kylie Minogue if she had the vibe for it. It definitely is one of those songs where you could see it on a dance floor, you could sing along to it on a road trip. It's one of those. Great bass line, great production, not overproduced, just on that line. Yeah.
It's Jack Antonoff is nowhere near it. We'll say that.
She doesn't fuck with that boy, I think, for the most part. But that's the surface level of it. Underneath, there's been a lot of kerfuffle online, because it seems to be an incredibly vindictive breakup song, in reference to her marriage with Liam Hemsworth, which her last project was also about. But this one seems a little bit more self-helpy than cryy. So it was released.
As I said in the opening, if subtweeting were a song.
Released on Liam's birthday, the 13th of January, and a direct reference to a song that was played at their wedding by Bruno Mars called When I Was Your Man. So it's meant to be an answer to some of the lyrics in that song, when she says, I can buy my own flowers. And that's in Bruno's song. He said, I should have bought you flowers. I should have held your hand. She says,
hold my own hand.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of references to that. The
Yeah.
other rumor is that
Mm.
the house that she runs up to in Runyon Canyon
Mm.
is, not from Runyon Canyon, runs up Runyon Canyon, goes to that house. The house is meant to be the house that Liam rented to cheat on people with when he was
Oh,
in a relationship with
shit.
her. In the song, she references, but apparently it was 14 some odd people that he had
Wow.
affairs with.
Wow. Men stay
And
trash. Men stay trash.
I don't know if that's true. 14 people is a lot of people, but whether or not it's true, the songs are popular on it. And I just want to
Mm-hmm.
say, I think Pitchfork focused on it a lot in their review, which I think they will regret. There might be a lot of mess around the song, but I think what will go down in my mind is that it signifies a new era. It's
Yeah.
incredibly good. You could hear it this week, you could hear it next year, it would still be good.
Mm.
It's pop-tastic, but it's not bubblegum. I really am
Yeah.
looking forward to this record. I'm
Oh,
looking forward to
fully.
this tour. I think it's a great one. What did you think of the song when you first heard it?
I definitely liked it. It's one of those that I wasn't immediately like, oh my God, when I heard it, because I heard it before I saw the video, listened to it
Ah,
before I saw the video. And I was like, I like this. I like this a lot. I've liked it more with every listen since. I liked it exponentially more for seeing the visuals.
mm,
Um, and yeah, I've been listening to it frequently. I won't say completely on repeat because there's a couple of songs that have come out this week, so I'm sort of got a rotation of a handful of songs. But I'm a big fan, and I've been a big fan of hers for the longest time.
we used to ride around
Um,
and listen to her records and sing
yeah,
along and have a good
yeah,
time. So
bangers.
we both have been
Was
for a
that
very long
album had a
time.
hold on us in the summer of 2013
It did.
like
Problematic
no other.
Fave. Yeah, I love that record. I
I was
watched Hannah
frequently
Montana.
mocked by my friends and colleagues for going into battle for Miley and saying like, who are you to tell Miley she can't be Miley? Um, and I stand by
Um,
that. I stand by that. I was on the right side of history.
I
Um,
still listen to those songs. I don't really
yeah,
give a fuck. If I enjoy something, I'm gonna
it's a great
enjoy it.
album.
It's a good. It's
We
like,
Can't Stop is still one of my absolute favorite songs.
and it's
Sorry, not
hot. Like,
sorry.
you know what's great about that moment in pop music is that it was so slutty, and I would just like sluttiness to return in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't like breakup songs. This is a great breakup song, but I really want more songs about just being a hoe, to be out there
You
and
say that, but
yeah.
then
Kim Petras is too much. Don't come at me about Kim. She stresses me out. She stresses me out. I'm willing to pay for an escort for that woman so she can get laid. It's too much.
Uh,
No, but I do listen to her shit sometimes. It's true, I do.
but yeah, I
Um,
think that I think it's a great song. I'm excited for the album. I think that Miley is someone who's really been able to hop genres very
evolve, yeah.
successfully. Like
Mm,
she switches up genres. I won't say every album, but every sort of other album. In the
yeah.
last couple of years, it feels like every album. As you say, the last one had a very distinct feel,
Mm, mm,
which
mm.
is exponentially different from Bangers, which we're also talking about, and I think it's
Very
going to be very
different.
different from this one. Um,
Mm.
yeah, can't wait
I cannot
for the full
wait.
album.
And but I did want you to give an honorable mention to the other songs you liked this week. What are you listening to?
Oh,
Just a quick honorable, quick drive by.
well, Måneskin dropped their new
Ah, yes.
single "Gossip" with you want slutty. Look
Who's the
no
slut?
further than that music video. Look no further than that music video. It's great. I think they do really good music videos. Like in general, they have like a weird sort of
Yeah,
vision for every
taste.
music video.
Yeah.
It's always a little bit slutty. They're always kind of making out with each other. They're always getting
Mm.
naked, and that's what I
Mm,
really appreciate about them as a band is that like they have that sort of an Italian sensibility of like we're all sluts. Get
mhm.
used to it, you
As
know,
it should be,
in the way that only a European really can, you know.
If I wanted to listen to Carrie Underwood, I would, baby. super European sex hedonism. I love it. I've been listening to a lot of the 1975, and my wife asked me to please stop. So, I think we're all having new experiences.
Yeah.
But I am still listening to that Arctic Monkeys album, which is so sexy to me. As sexy as a British man can be, is what I think Alex Stone is giving on that.
Oh, speaking of British, the other song that I'm really obsessed with is Victoria Scone.
Victoria Scone? Oh, what
has
is
a song out called Get Ready to Go. I think it came out last year. I think it came out in December, but I'd been listening to it since December, and it's still in my rotation. And it's good. Like a lot of drag queens put out songs, and you're like, okay. This one it's a bop. It's great. It's
I will give it a listen. You know what I love about drag queen songs is a lot of them are instructions. Get ready to go. Is another one.
You better work. Yeah.
Yeah. Sissy that walk, like, okay.
Yeah, I will. I absolutely will. Thank you. And with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. And we're back. And the category is film.
Oh.
And I'm going to get us started on this one because I saw yesterday new gay icon, M3GAN. It is the 2023 horror film directed by Gerard Johnstone. It tells the story of Alison Williams' Gemma, a high-tech toy roboticist who finds herself caring for her niece Katie, played by Violet McGraw, following the tragic death of both of her parents. Gemma uses AI to develop a lifelike doll programmed to emotionally bond with Katie, and needless to say, it does not go well. I firstly have to give a big congrats to the marketing team of this film.
Yes.
Because intentionally or not, they have captured the attention of the gays in a way that undoubtedly has made Billy Eichner furious. That being said, it really makes me laugh how the entire team has completely failed to see how they've done that.
My favorite thing. It's my favorite thing.
Writer Akela Cooper was quoted as saying, "This little girl has lost her family. Then this doll is also brought into this situation. That resonates for a lot of people in the gay community. The idea of found family." No, darling.
She has a bad
M3GAN
wig.
is a sharply dressed woman who slays, literally.
Who literally slays.
It's really not that deep.
Can we dress as her for Halloween for like less than $10? Yes.
I was this close, Alex, this close to buying a M3GAN Halloween costume.
And I know you were. For
no other reason than just to have the bow in my regular wardrobe rotation. Like, I'm not going to wear the full thing for Halloween, but I would like to incorporate that bow into my regular outfit rotation.
Oh, straights were very simple creatures. Like, it's actually pretty easy.
The film itself is a great time. It's such a great time. It is so fun and irreverent and camp, and even better, it is an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Give me that.
It's all I'm asking for. A tight 90. Get in, get out. Let's go. I do think sort of as a result of the get in, get out, it is entirely predictable.
Yeah.
So if that's something that bothers you, maybe the film's not for you. I don't care. I don't care to see things coming from a mile away, especially when it's something that's technically classed as a horror. I don't know about all that. To me, she's a violent comedy. But then again, I'm not a well person.
I think it's funny. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it, but from what I've heard is it's funny in the way that the menu's funny. Where you're just like, this is hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. Like every time she starts like killing someone, the audience is cheering. And I don't think that that's the thing that the thing is that like when you sort of reference the menu, I think the menu is purposefully trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Is purposely
is
trying
conscious.
to be a satire.
That was on purpose, yeah.
I don't entirely know if this film is trying to be funny. It achieves it much more successfully than a lot of comedy writers and directors have.
Billy, that was a drag girl.
Yeah, no comment. This has a PG-13 rating, so like the violence is not super gory.
PG-13, really?
Yeah. So it's violent, but it's not gory. Like a young teen can watch this happily. Like,
ooh, I don't know if my nephew should. Sorry, but I do want to watch it. I will watch it in the comfort of my home in sweatpants. I went to the cinema yesterday, and that's done me for about 6 months.
But yeah, I think it absolutely. I mean, I'm glad that it's in cinemas.
Yeah.
Because I think you need more sort of mid-budget to low-budget films getting given big screen runs and being successful, because this has been very successful. As I said, the gays turned out for Miss M3GAN. And I think the more that happens, the more likely you are to get these sort of like weirder films getting their due on the big screen. But that being said, I think it's absolutely fine to wait to watch this at home. I don't think anything will be lost in watching it at home.
Would you say it's B-grade horror? Do you think we're going to see the return of B-grade horror? Because I grew up at a time, like in my early teens, when B-grade horror was hot to trot. There were a lot of slasher movies coming out that I think were perfect. I could still watch them today. Do you think we're going to see the rebirth of that, maybe just with AI?
I don't think it's necessarily even with this film. I think we're in it. I think we're in it now. I think we're in it. We've been in it for a minute, I think. Obviously had the new Scream movie last year. There's been however many Halloweens. All these sort of slightly highbrow horror films, things like Midsommar and Hereditary, things like Get Out and Bird Box and all those sort of things, sort of like higher brow.
Was Bird Box highbrow?
Probably not, but it was popular.
Yeah, it was popular.
Put it that way.
It was popular, please.
So I do think we're sort of in the middle of a resurgence of sort of horror in the mainstream, because I think it's never really went away on the fringes, but I think we are in a bit of a mainstream horror renaissance, perhaps.
I love a horror. I've always loved. There are very few genres of film that I don't enjoy, because each one of them will, even the worst like B-grade horror you'll see, will have one thing in it that I think is great, and I will sit through the whole movie for that. Whether it's a laugh, whether it's a great shot, whether it is like, it's the genre where a lot of film nerds go into and try and make the film that they want to make. And with that kind of freedom and that kind of base knowledge, you get really great properties. You get really great product. So I like that about it.
Agreed. Yeah. Right, so we move on to the film that you want to talk about this week, dear.
We're completely let's
do it like a Tokyo drift out of that and actually talk about something highbrow.
Yeah. So my movie is Broker, and it's a South Korean film by Japanese filmmaker Hirokai Koreeda. And I'm so sorry about how I've said his name, but
you tried.
I tried.
A for effort, yeah.
He's very talented and he doesn't need me, so that's fine. But the film centers on these boxes where you leave unwanted babies. And we focus on the story around one such baby and all the people connected to that baby, whether through blood or through circumstance or whether through nefarious deed, and how these people connect to each other. And It's really just a rumination on family,
Mm,
on forgiveness, I think, and choice. And
mm,
I loved it top to bottom. I loved it. I know that
mm,
obviously I'm not the only one. I mean, it was up for a Palme d'Or
mm-hmm,
at Cannes. The lead actor in it, Song Kang Ho from Parasite. He won awards for it.
mm, mm,
It's a very popular film, and I can see why. What I really liked about it was that it had a almost judgment-free zone. So you had
mm.
people, you see at the start people making choices and you don't know the full picture of it, so it is very easy to judge them.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
you think one person's selling, two people are selling a baby, one person is giving up a baby in the cold, the baby could have died, and you see a police officer who's very sort of hard, and it's very easy to judge her being so hard.
Yeah.
And then as you kind of get the full picture of the people, you see the unavoidable choices they've had to make and how they made the best decision they could in that moment. And it's a theme I've seen in a lot of South Korean TV shows that I've watched, where society as a whole, but I think South Korea specifically, can sometimes be a place where people hold the moral high ground with
Mm,
vicious words and judgment,
mm,
and just unpacking that and finding out why somebody did the things that they did. So I think
mm-hmm,
it was really beautiful that way. It's also shot beautifully,
mm,
which I love, acted perfectly. So the what I would say is the lead actress, who's just called IU, but her whole name is Lee Ji Eun. She's a very popular singer in South Korea who also
K-pop star.
acts. K-pop
Mm,
star, brilliant K-pop star, but her performance is so nuanced, like,
mm,
and so subtle.
mm,
And I think that's so beautiful to like take a character where you could easily from the outset judge everything about her and think you
mm-hmm,
know her, but
mm,
then to have a scene where you just cover her eyes. Like there's a scene where another character covers her eyes and she still delivers these devastating lines.
mm,
And I was just blown away by that. Just
yeah.
that one scene I thought was so creative and so still in such a busy film. It's almost like
Mm.
a chase scene throughout it, and they put
But
them
that
on a.
is that is
It's so good.
something in South Korean cinema that I think is very prevalent. That sort of there can be a lot of things going on in the
Yeah,
film. The film can be very busy at times, but it does have this stillness
yeah,
running through a lot of the films that I've seen anyway. And a lot of that, as you talk about, that very nuanced delivery. Yeah, I think it's South Korean cinema really is that girl, and she has given us a lot of gems in the last few years. Obviously, Parasite, The Handmaiden,
mm.
going back to some of the sort
Oh,
of horror stuff, Old Boy and The Tale of Two Sisters, like
mm.
all beautiful. Again, as you say, like so beautifully shot, and so the performances are always very captivating.
Yeah, and I was so. I think I am a bit of a giggle at a funeral person, so there are numerous funny moments throughout this film, and I laughed out loud. The great thing about a cinema is that it really zeroes you in on the
Yeah.
screen, and
Uh-huh.
you can kind of forget what you were doing and how your day is going, and if your
Mm,
period's just started, and et cetera, and just be in it. And
yeah.
that I think was really great because there are numerous bits at the start of the film where there's zero dialogue, like, which I
Mm,
also thought was so interesting. Like there's
mm,
maybe one word from somebody in the background. I thought that
mm,
was so cool,
mm,
and just the scarcity of it.
mm.
It felt sort of like a desert of dialogue. And I love that because then when people
Mm,
started to talk later in the film, I was really listening to what they were saying.
mhm.
Anyway, but I've gone on enough about it. I think it's worth seeing. If it's available anywhere where people are, I would say pay the $5 and go see it. or stream it, because it is genuinely a good film. The ending might be unsatisfying to some. Please don't shout at me if you don't
Again,
like
that is a marker of South Korean cinema. I feel like every South Korean film that I've seen has had that ending that I think a lot of people would find unsatisfying. I'm not necessarily one of them. I like a weird sort of bittersweet ending where you're like, oh, that's sad, but it makes sense.
It makes sense. Or if you're unsure about what the fuck happened, like I debated it with my wife. I thought one thing happened, she thought another thing happened. I think that's great. Like, I love that. It's not happy. Maybe watch this first and then watch M3GAN, because as we were leaving the cinema, the poor couple in front of me said, "God, that was heavy." I think the two of them went in thinking they were going to watch a love story. Bless. I'm so sorry, girl.
Clearly had not seen any kind of material around the film.
No, they did not. No, ma'am. No, sir.
Like,
no Googling for them.
You thought you were in for a romp with the Baby Snatchers movie? Okay.
No Googling for those two, please.
Ignorance was not bliss. They weren't happy.
No, they did not sashay into the sunset.
And with that, we're out of time.
No.
If you want to follow us on socials, we are at girlsgaysdays_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
And join us again next week for another tasty morsel.
Cheers.
Cheers, my deals.